Next up is William Paley's teleological argument. It was written in 1802, so after Hume but before Darwin. And if you ever heard of the watchmaker argument, this is where it comes from. So Paley says, in crossing a heath, suppose I pitched my foot against a stone and were asked how the stone came to be there. I might possibly answer that, for anything I knew to the contrary, it had lain there forever. Nor would it perhaps be very easy to show the absurdity of this answer. But suppose I had found a watch upon the ground, and it should be inquired how the watch happened to be in that place. I should hardly think of the answer which I had before given, that, for anything I knew, the watch might have always been there. Yet why should not this answer serve for the watch, as well as for the stone? In other words, if you just happened to find a watch in the field and you were wondering how it got there, you wouldn't be satisfied with the explanation that it just formed there by chance, like you might with a rock. So what's the difference between the watch and the rock? Well, Paley says, the difference between the watch and the stone is that when we come to inspect the watch, we perceive what we could not discover in the stone, that its several parts are framed and put together for a purpose. So the various cogs and springs and coils of the watch are arranged together so that the watch can tell the time. If you were to take one of these cogs out, or if you were to arrange it differently, the watch wouldn't work. So the watch has clearly been arranged in this way for a purpose, to tell the time. For Paley, this is the defining property of design. Anything that has multiple parts arranged for a purpose must be designed, and so must have a designer. The watch has this property, but the rock doesn't. So Paley goes on to argue that this same property of having multiple parts arranged for a purpose can also be seen in nature. So he gives the example of an eye to illustrate this. The eye has many parts organised for the purpose of sight. So the cornea is like a window that lets in light and focuses it, and muscles around the pupil adjust its size and control how much light is let in. The lens changes shape so you can focus on things depending on whether they are nearby or far away, and so on. So all the parts of the eye work together to achieve the purpose of vision, in the same way that all the parts of the watch work together for the purpose of telling the time. So again, anything that has multiple parts arranged for a purpose must be designed, says Paley. This is the defining property of design. And nature exhibits this property all over the place. The eye is just one example. And so if there's design in nature, there must be a designer.